what happens if a subscriber dies? Then how can family claim this money? And usually, who is the responsible person? As in, who will get it? Legal heirs will get it, or nominee will get it?
Right. Very interesting question because there's a very gray area around this, right? What happens is in India, first of all, nominees are not your successor. A lot of people do not know that, right? They are only custodians of your assets, right? But what comes in case of EPFO, right, is that nominee becomes very crucial. Right, and it's not that nominee will get the money, but if their nominee is same as, let's say, if you're married, right? It's simple if I simplify for the audience. If you're married, your nominee should be your spouse, right? If spouse is the nominee, the withdrawal process becomes much simpler. They get the money, everything is sorted, right? If you're married, but the nominee is your mother, right? Then there is a contradiction between who should get it versus who the nominee is, right?
Okay, if nominee is mother, but the person is married, then what happens?
Then the wife would get it in most cases, unless mother files a complaint saying we were also dependent. Right, so then the parents can claim for it, but then they will have to prove that they were also dependent.
So
in which
even
case,
though nominee is mother, so ideally in other asset classes we see that whoever the nominee is, the money will go to that person's account, and then it's his or her responsibility to distribute it among
correct.
Investors.
That's not what happens in most cases in EPFO, right? Because if the nominee was different, then if they were married, right, then the wife would have the first claim to that. Unless the parents say that they were also dependent, then it would be splitted 50-50. So very important that before marriage, your nominee is your mother. After marriage, your nominee is your spouse.
So you need to update it.
You need to update it. You need to ensure that.
Otherwise, again,
even though they will get it, but it will become a very long process. EPFO is in consideration of digitizing the death claims. Some of it is already
done. Currently, it's not.
Currently, you have to file all the physical forms for
death
that.
Death claim is physical process.
Death claims. And what adds on is, let's say, if the transfers have not happened, right, all of that would also have to be filled. All transfers have to be done.
Correct.
Then only death claims get processed. So.
And death claim, you can get the lump sum, or it has to be a pension?
No, you'll get the lump sum. The EPFO money will come as lump sum. There is pension component as well that will come as in pension, depending on whether there is a child, whether there is a spouse, whether there is mother. They have a formula that will calculate based on your contributions, based on who the dependents are, how much they would get.
Okay, so pension amount will differ as per relationship.
Correct. So the amount will remain the same, but if there is only spouse, they will get this now. If there are multiple people, it will get splitted between both of them, or three of them, if that's the case. So the pension amount will remain around that. And then there is an insurance as well.
So between wife and children, then money gets split?
Yes. The children, they will get additional for each child.
Even minor?
Even minor, yes.
Okay, it's not that entire pension is going to wife's account?
No.
Okay, so that's again a discovery. So minor child will also have this money coming into his or her account?
Yes, but they will have to open an account in one of the nationalized banks. Yes.
But why the process is such?
Very good question, I would say. But as I said, the major challenges with EPFO, this process are outdated, right? Also, if you see from their point of view, right, they have to take care of all the religions. They have to take care of all the support. So your family system might be very different from my family system, right? But they can't have different rules for you and me, right? Which is where they have to come up with a generic. What if mother and kids are not in good terms, right? What if the kids are with other guardian, right? What if it's a divorce case? What if parents are dependent? What if they are not? So then they have to come with a generic thing which could work in the majority cases, which is where some of these rules come in.
But if we look at it, so previously in the past, family dynamics were more close-knit compared to now.
Correct.
So it should get, the way it is, maybe work in these times. But when these rules got formulated, then obviously these shouldn't have happened in the first place. Then should
correct. A lot of people we know, they don't show child itself. Right, to avoid this entire thing. They say, okay, there's no child in place.
They won't only update it.
So they won't update itself, and they would say, okay, there is only a spouse, and they will get it done. So people have found their ways. No one has raised, issues around why, because amount remains the same. The problem is amount remains the same, right? Which is where people are like, okay, then what's the point of opening another child account and getting some there, some over here?
Correct. And what if somebody doesn't mention any name in the nominee?
Then also the same. If you're married, spouse gets it. If
Okay.
you're not married, mother gets it. We do have lots of cases where there is no nominee mentioned, right? Nominee, very recently that government has started pushing to add nominees,
Okay.
but if you open any previous account, there is no nominee mention.
Okay, got it.
The bigger pain is the transfers,
Hmm.
right? A lot of people that we have personally seen or personally known, the accounts are not consolidated,
Okay.
right? So if you have
So
worked
for
at
family members, it's for a subscriber in the first place, it's quite complicated. But with family member, becomes even
it becomes
more
much more
difficult.
challenging because then they have to fill all those forms. Let's say if there is a trust, if you worked at 5 companies, one of them was trust, so then separate forms will go to trust. One company was in Bangalore, another was in Delhi, third was in Mumbai, right? You have to file all those forms, right? The bunch of paperwork.
Yes.
Every company that you worked, it will add to the paperwork if the
Right.
amount is not transferred,
Correct.
right? So there is PF, then there is pension, and a lot of people are unaware that there is insurance component as well. It's called
EDLI.
EDLI.
Right.
Yes, and the government has recently increased the limit. Earlier it was 3 lakhs. Now that limit is
EDLI, you talk about it in detail for our audience.
right. So EDLI's earlier the limit was 3 lakh rupees. Now the limit has increased to 7 lakh rupees.
Okay.
But the process around it again are outdated, and a very gray space is what I would like to call it.
So somebody who is an EPFO member, then the
Then they are
person is
eligible.
eligible for EDLI,
Correct.
and if person passes away, then the family gets up to 3 lakh amount.
Up to
depending-
7 lakhs now.
Up to 7 lakh. Okay.
Until earlier it was 3 lakhs.
Now
From
it's
last
7 lakh.
financial year, it became 7 lakhs. But how much will get approved is something, you know, the rules are
Depending on service period and all those.
service period and a lot of gray area again in that case. So they will do their own investigation. They'll figure out, you know, which is where a lot of people themselves, the subscribers and their families don't know that, okay, this is also there, right? B, it is, you know, a lot of control over the person who's approving this, right, at the EPFO.